Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we're going to rouse around on the mat a bit, looking for fun ways to engage and strengthen our abs. In fact, we're going to be galvanizing the whole core, front, back, and sides. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to start off today's class coming into a down dog frame. So maybe ease your way first down into a 4-point kneeling frame just to set up your dog. Hands about shoulder width apart, knees about hip width distance apart. You're going to tuck your toes under. You're going to float your bum up towards the sky. And as soon as you've found your down dog frame, begin to slowly bend and extend the knees in unison. Bend and extend. Every time you find that extension through the legs, see if you can systematically begin to bring your heels closer and closer to the floor. Keeping belly to spine the whole time. Starting to connect to the core, so think belly to spine. And then maybe holding your down dog stretch. Looking for that lengthening not only through the legs but through the arms. That nice high pike towards the ceiling and that fusing, that absolute fusing of belly button to spine. Then either staying here with your down dog bend and extend or starting to play with a little more dynamic movement, a little bit more core engagement, maybe coming onto the tips of your fingers, bending your knees softly so that you're in a relaxed down dog, taking a little hop to come just in front of your hands, and then coming into a forward fold, straightening the legs. Then starting to play with the movement. So hopping back into your down dog, and then hopping back up into your forward fold. Using that bend and that extend action through the legs to start connecting to your core. Giving yourself anywhere between 5 and 10 hops forward and backward. And if you find the hop is too much, maybe just staying with a step up, and then an extend, a bend, and a step back. So play it up, see where you need to be. Then do one more to end in the forward fold, preferably hands to floor, and just hold the fold. If the floor is not accessible, maybe you're using a block underneath both hands, or maybe you're just resting the hands on the tops of your thighs. Find the fold, hold it. Checking that the weight is equal on the balls and the heels of your feet. Then softening the knees, you're going to peel up ragdoll style, leading with the back of your ribs. You're going to restack. You're going to realign the whole body, and you're going to stand up nice and tall in a modified mountain with your feet in a samasthiti line, so stacking underneath your hips. Begin with the arms long and lengthened at your side, and then begin to hinge forward in a tabletop line, maybe floating the arms out in front so that you can frame your ears on either side. Think of that weight in your feet. So think weight equal on the balls and the heels of your feet. Then peel back up to your start position. Find a few dynamic tables, but don't rush the coming into the table line. Think of that core control. And then bleeding back up. Folding into table. And then coming back. Looking for that belly to spine action to peel yourself into the tabletop line. Looking for that weight distribution in your feet. Coming back to standing. One more time, then we're going to find a few dynamic warrior three-like motions on the mat. So ending in your mountain pose, you're going to keep the arms at your side and you're just going to reach them behind you as you start to float the left leg off the mat, keeping as level as you can through the shoulders and the hips. So you need to use your whole core, front, back, and sides to galvanize and keep that strong frame. Pause here. Check your shoulders, check your hips. Come back to your standing frame. Do that maybe 3 or 4 more times, looking for that balance and that control. Right leg working hard to stabilize you. Always cognizant of what's happening between your 2 shoulder points, what's happening between your 2 hip points as you come into that warrior three-like stance on the mat. Let's do one more. Then focus on the leg that you've been stabilizing on, the right leg. That's the leg that's wobbling and aching right now. As you find your way back into the standing frame, you're going to pull up from the pubis towards the navel, and you're going to see if you can float that leg up to maybe table height, and then tap the heel back to the floor. So you're keeping an active brace in the foot as you pretend that you're tugging on a little piece of string to lift, and then to lower that leg back to the mat. Lift and lower. The arms are relaxed at your side, or if you prefer, you can place them on your hips, or you could even open them out into the T frame as you play. Then the next time that heel comes down to the floor, we're going to set up a standing hamstring stretch, Ardha Hanumanasana. So maybe placing both hands softly on the tops of your thighs, you're going to focus on your back leg. You're going to bend that knee to slide down the chain of your legs, maybe reaching for your toe, and then slide back up to your start position, straightening up the back leg. So you're just bending and extending through the back leg to slide closer towards your toe line, and then back up to your start position. Maybe doing that 5 times. Then ending in the fold. And now see if you can keep that hamstring stretch while extending and bending the back leg. So changing up the stretch slightly, and the whole time you're keeping belly to spine. So activating, galvanizing that core. Maybe ending with both legs extended and holding your hamstring stretch. You could place a block on the floor in front of you, or maybe even 2 blocks either side, and modify this. Then come into a soft forward fold, bringing the 2 legs alongside each other, maybe taking a big toe lock by taking your middle index finger and thumb like little crab pincers and reaching for the big toe of each foot, and then holding your forward fold. And binding to the toes is not an option. You could maybe just give me a simple fold, placing your hands on your shins, or maybe even higher up along the chain of your legs. Keeping belly to spine the whole time. From here, when you're ready, you're going to hop or step back into a plank line, and then we're going to start getting creative with that plank. Listen carefully. Remember, we're trying to galvanize the core. So you're going to soften your knees, place your hands on the floor, step or hop back into a plank, body line nice and parallel to the mat. Find that strength through the core and the arms first, and hold. All right, let's play on the right side of the body. So my back is going to be towards you in a moment. Don't fret. We're still working the right side of the body. So trying to keep your plank as parallel to the mat as you can. You're going to think knee to nose on the right, holding a one-legged plank. And then think about how you're going to use this frame to come into the side plank, grounding through your left leg, so the leg that's behind you. You're going to flip over onto your side, and you're going to try to come into a tree pose here, taking your right foot and placing it on the inseam of the left leg. Maybe you're just placing your hand on your top hip. Maybe you're opening up the top arm to the ceiling. You're trying not to collapse on that bottom hip. And if this feels good and you'd like to try to come into a little bind, you can take your middle index finger and thumb, like a little cramp pincer again, and you can maybe reach for the big toe of the top leg, coming into a full sage pose, Vasana. Wherever you decided to play, you're going to find your way back into a plank, but you're going to give me a one-legged plank, and you're going to float the right leg off the mat behind you, reaching those toes nice and long for the ball behind you. Pause. Galvanize your core. Then tuck the toes of that floating back leg under. Come back into a full plank. And think about how you're going to use this frame to come into Sphinx. Relax your knees, your shins, and then the tops of your feet to the mat. And then start to bend softly through the elbows, coming down as slowly as you can. Use your core. As soon as your lower belly touches the mat, slide the elbows forward slightly, coming into Sphinx. So you're pushing off your forearms, your elbows. You're not collapsing. You're really growing your whole trunk towards the ceiling behind, and you're holding a nice, strong Sphinx frame with your gaze just softly off the front of your mat and a nice long line through the spine and the neck. Stay here looking for strength through the core, front, back, and sides. Galvanize. Then find your way from here into an extended locust. You're going to begin sliding the arms away from you. As soon as you drop down onto your belly button, start to lift both feet off the mat, either keeping both hands on the mat as you make a bow-like frame with your back resting on your two hip bones and the lower belly. Or if this feels good, and you can work sans arms, you're going to float the arms up, and you're going to think extended locust. So you've got a nice bow frame through the back. If this bow frame is too much, you can drop and bring your whole body line closer to the floor. Let's work through the back. So let your body be your guide as to where to play. And then relax your arms to the mat. Relax your feet to the mat. And start to peel your chest back down to the mat. As you do so, start to bend the elbows, drag the arms behind your chest line, so you're towards the lower end of the ribs. We're coming up into a swan, and then we'll rock it. So you're going to relax your forehead to the mat. Pretend you've got a little marble underneath your nose. Start to roll the marble away from you to the front of the mat. Articulate up one rib at a time. Stop with your bottom three ribs heavy into the mat and just focus on that extension through the elbows, as if you were reaching the elbows for the wall behind you. Stay here or start to peel up and extend the arms. Maybe stopping bottom rib, then belly button, maybe the two hip bones, maybe the pubic bone, the tops of your thighs, then fully extending the arms so that you're resting on the heels of your hands and your kneecaps. In the full expression of swan, looking for the longest spine that you can, look for that delicious stretch in the lower belly, and try to lengthen your whole trunk, front, sides, and back. Come down with the same amount of control. Soft bend through the elbows. Connect first the thighs and your pubic bone, your two hip bones, then your belly button, your bottom rib, your bottom three ribs. Then bring your whole chest down to the mat, and as soon as your forehead reconnects to the mat, lift both legs off the mat behind you. Then start to use the movement dynamically, pushing up into the full expression of swan, bending the elbows, coming down, lifting the feet off, and beginning to rock the body piston style, up and down. Keeping belly to spine the whole time that you play. Then push back into child pose. Legs on a soft parallel line behind you. Or you can think big toe together, knees open nice and wide. We're going to try to use this child to come into crow pose. And you can move rapidly on the mat, or you can break it down into small digestible chunks. So maybe let's go for the small digestible chunks on this round. All right, so from your child pose, big toes together, knees softly open. You're going to maybe come onto the tips of your fingers in a modified 4-point kneel, still holding that diamond-like frame through the legs. Tuck your toes under and then froggy style. Hop, think deep squats, or not deep squats, think diamond squats. So feet are still together, knees are splayed out to the side of the room. Place both hands on the floor, start to bend through the elbows, and then lean in to your triceps, trying to find a resting spot for your knee. See if you can lift one foot off the mat behind you, and then maybe the other foot as well. And if that's not happening, just keep the forward lean. So place your hands on the mat, lean both knees into your tricep, and just hold your, trying to zipper up and galvanize your core as you do so. Hold. You're going to find your way from here into a down dog, so maybe stepping or hopping both legs back. Finding a down dog, and then from your down dog frame, you're going to try to find a figure 4 on the right. So you're going to start to bend your right leg, maybe placing the weight forward, resting your right foot on the left side, and then maybe bending the left knee as if you wanted to tap it halfway to the floor, and then come back into extension. Give yourself a few bends and extends, playing with this figure 4 frame on the mat. And then think about how you're going to use this figure 4 to come into a modified Bhadrasana 2. So holding your down dog figure 4 shape, you're going to bend the knee of your extended leg as if you wanted to come into the kneel. You're going to relax that back foot to the mat. You're going to walk your weight back, thinking bum to heel. And then you're going to try to tuck the front leg into a half lotus line. So you're going to bring that heel closer towards the opposite hip. You're going to relax the right knee to the floor. Wiggle around and then just try to sit and find stillness. Holding a half lotus stretch on the right leg. Just pause here, looking for that long sense of lengthening through the trunk. And then maybe just try a gentle twist to each side. So cupping opposite hand to hip. See what that feels like. And then maybe take the twist in the opposite direction, still opposite hand to hip. And see what that feels like. Bleed your way back to center. And then see how you can use this frame to find your way into a seated figure 4. So we're going to have to readjust the leg that's underneath us. Maybe placing your hands on the floor, you can lean all the weight into your right bum. Try to skirt the other foot out from underneath you, placing that foot on the floor, and then just taking a little step forward so that your bum is quite close to your heel, and just pausing here, taking a nice stretch into the shoulders, into the pelvis. And then maybe from this nice tucked position with your left heel quite close to your bum, you're going to slide the left foot further away from you and see if you can come into a tabletop figure 4. Readjust the arms and your grounding foot as you need to. Try to pike your belly up to the sky while holding that figure 4-like frame on the right side of your body. Try to keep as level as you can through the shoulders and the hips. Then bleed softly back down to the mat. Unbind your feet, maybe keeping your hands on the floor, maybe doing fingertips forward this time. Try to come into a boat line. Maybe legs on a table, or maybe they're fully extended. If this feels good, maybe you're holding on to the back of your thighs, or maybe you're working sans hands, and you're just going to hold your boat navasana wherever you decide to play. Strong galvanization through the whole core. Then relax your legs to the mat. Fist your hands. We're coming into a modified intense east, so you're going to slide your hands back behind your shoulder line. You're going to keep your feet clipped together as you drop them to the floor, or you can V the feet out if you prefer. You're going to press your feet into the mat as you think inverted plank, taking your belly up to the sky, pausing here, strong through the arms, galvanize your whole core, front, back, and sides. Then as your bottom reconnects to the mat, you're going to bend through the knees. You're going to come into a deep squat line. So take the feet wide, feet softly straight up, maybe walking onto the tips of your fingers, walking your way up. Coming into a squat, maybe hands on the floor. Maybe you're going to play cactus style, or maybe just hands in prayer. And just pause here for a moment. Still focusing on that belly to spine action, even while you're in your deep squat. Then think about how you're going to find your way into a forward fold from here, preferably with a calf hold. Maybe dropping your hands to the mat, starting to straighten up the chain of your legs, maybe heel toeing in, so your legs are in parallel. And then reaching with your palms for the back of your calves and just holding the forward fold, using that galvanization of the core, that pulling in, that activation of the front, back, and sides to hold the head nice and heavy to the floor while holding the weight equal on the balls and the heels of your feet. Then from this inverted frame, you're going to soften the knees. You're going to find your way back to your original frame on the mat, coming into that down dog. So place your hands on the mat. The head is still inverted. You're going to either step back the legs one at a time or take a little hop back into your down dog, galvanizing your core, and then begin to bend and extend the legs in unison. Every time you extend, you try to anchor more of your heel to the mat. Stay here with your bend and extend, or start to use the bend to hop up into a Uttanasana forward fold, and then bend to hop back. So you start to play with that soft bendy knee action to hop up into the fold, and then to hop yourself back into the down dog. Maybe giving yourself at least 5 or 6 oscillations with that hop or that step up action if you prefer. Yeah. They need to spine the whole time. You're going to end in the fold. And then you're going to peel up, ragdoll style, coming into a nice tall mountain-like stance. Arms are relaxed at your side. You're going to keep pulling up from the pelvic floor towards your navel to bring it into a tabletop reach. Weight equal on the feet. And then bring it back to a tall stance. So you're going to play dynamically between your modified mountain and your table reach. Looking not just for that stretch up the entire back chain of the legs, but you want to use that galvanization of the core to give yourself a nice long line through the arms, neck, and spine. Let's do one more before we start to play with our Warrior 3 flow. Beginning with the arms at your side. This time we're going to float right leg back. Keeping the arms at your side, you're just going to float the right leg up behind you, trying to keep as controlled as you can through the whole trunk, so shoulders and hips are staying even. Give yourself at least 3 or 4 modified Warrior 3s. Think about which leg is doing your stabilizing. That'll be the left leg on this round. So the next time you come into your mountain, you're going to step the left leg in front of you, heel connected to the mat, toes looking up, and you're going to float up into a D stretch and tap back down. Arms are either relaxed at your side, or you can place them on your hips, or you could even open them up into T. Find what works for you. Lift and lower. Just using your whole core. So think of that zip that you're pulling up through the pelvis all the way to your sternum to lift the leg. You're going to end in a hamstring stretch with the heel connected to the floor. Place your hands on your thighs, focus on the back leg. You're going to bend the knee to slide down. Maybe you're just stopping at knee height, or maybe you're tapping fingertips to toe, and then coming back to straighten up the back leg. You're going to keep bending to reach and tap, and then extending. Maybe giving yourself a few rounds of work on that back leg. And then maybe ending in the hamstring stretch and holding here. Fingers to toe, maybe fingers to floor, maybe you're using your block, 1 or 2. And then try to hold the hamstring stretch, maybe reaching with your fingers and pulling on the toes or the ball of your foot, and try to just bend and extend the back leg from this position, holding that folded position. Then hold the hamstring stretch, both legs fully extended for a few moments. Belly to spine, galvanize your core. Then let's try to come into a big toe fold, maybe placing both hands on the mat, first shifting the legs into parallel, then taking your middle index finger and thumb on both hands, reaching for the big toes, thinking of gently tugging up on the toes while allowing the crown to become nice and heavy to the floor and holding that delicious stretch up the back chain of the legs. Parangustasana. And then think about how you're going to get from here to a plank line. Maybe let go of the toes, place your hands either high fingertips or flat hands, step or hop back into the plank. Body line nice and parallel to the mat. We're going to play with that little side plank, so my front is going to be towards you on this side. All right, so we're going to hold the plank nice and strong. And then you're going to think knee to nose on the left, pause here. Keep that left leg floating and start to pivot and coming onto the side of your body. So knife edging the right foot, maybe finding a tree pose here, so readjusting that top leg. Maybe you want to place hand on hip. Maybe you want to reach for the sky and think more T-like frame through the arms. Hold. Stay here, or maybe you want to look for that big toe lock. So once again, taking your middle index finger and thumb, reaching for the big toe. See if you can come into the full sage expression. Hold, don't drop on that bottom hip. Then find your way to a one-legged plank from here, floating that right leg off the mat behind you. Hold, hold. Then anchor the back toes. We're coming down with control. Relax your knees to the mat, then your shins and the tops of your feet. Start to bend through the elbows. As soon as your lower belly touches the mat, slide the forearms out in front of you and position yourself in a Sphinx line. Neckline as long as you can manage. Look for that little stretch and that sense of almost trying to lengthen the whole trunk away from your hip line. When you're ready, you're going to find your way into your extended locust line. Begin to slide the arms away from you, still maintaining an almost cobra-like chest lift. So don't try to stop when your bottom rib just touches the mat. Stay here, maybe softly pushing off your palms. And if this feels good, maintain the chest lift and see if you can lift both legs off the mat behind you. Still feeling strong? Maintain the chest lift and the leg lift and see if you can float the arms off the mat, coming into a full extended locust hold. Pause. Look for that strength. Remember, you're working front, back, and sides. All right, relax the hands back down to the mat, then the feet. And then as you start bleeding the chest back down, you're going to sweep the arms out. You're going to bring the arm bend through the elbows, and you're going to bring your hands in just towards the lower end of your rib cage. So not in front, as we usually would in the cobra line, but slightly behind your chest line. All right, let's come up into swan. So connect your forehead to the mat. Keeping your elbows tucked into center. Start to roll that marble away. Start with your bottom four ribs heavy. Think of that lengthening through the elbows, trying to tap the wall behind you. Then start to peel up slowly in your own time. Start to extend through the arms. Maybe pausing on the bottom rib, then on the belly button, maybe then on the two hip bones, maybe on the pubic bone, the tops of your thighs. Then come into full extension, pressing off the heels of your hands and your kneecaps. Bring it down with just the same amount of control. Starting to bend softly through the arms. Connect your thighs and your pubic bone, your two hip bones, your belly button, your bottom rib, your bottom three ribs. The rest of the chest follows as soon as your forehead taps the mat. Lift and hover both legs off the mat behind you. Then start to work your pistoning swan rock, pushing all the way up into the swan, then bending the elbows and lifting the legs off the mat, and start to rock up and down. Exhaling as you come down, inhaling as you float up into the swan. All right, last one. We're going to push back into child from here, so big toes together, knees open nice and wide, arms long and extended on the mat in front of you, maybe tapping forehead to mat, and just taking a little time out here for a moment. Wiggling around if you need to release any tension, or just holding still. Think about how you're going to use this frame to try to come into crow pose. So you're thinking diamond frame through the legs, trying to keep your feet towards the midline and your knees wide. So come into your modified 4-point kneel, still holding that diamond frame. Tuck your toes under, still holding the diamond frame. Maybe coming onto the tips of your fingers. As you froggy hop up, you're still going to think feet together, knees wide. Awesome. So you've got your little diamond or butterfly squat. You're going to place your hands on the mat and you're going to find your crow, whether you're just leaning and holding or whether you're trying to go for lift off and get those feet, those legs off the mat. Bend through the elbows. Make a resting spot on your triceps. Squeeze the knees into center. See if you can lift one foot off, maybe the other. Coming into the full expression of Bakasana. Remember, from here, you're going to try to find your way into plank. So maybe stepping back one leg at a time, slow and controlled, or taking a little dynamic hop to come back into your plank. Then think down dog. We're going to play on the left side of the body now. Think of what your frame looks like and how you're going to find your way into a figure 4 position on the left. So start to bend the left knee, bring the foot in, find your figure 4, and then bend the right knee as if you wanted to tap to the floor and extend. You're going to keep playing with your figure 4 down dog and your figure 4 tabletop knee tap. Galvanizing your core the whole time so that you're strong on the mat. Then think about how you're going to come into Butterfly 2 from here. So the next time you bend and think tabletop figure 4, relax the whole leg line to the mat. Relax the back foot. See if you can start walking your hands back. Trying to maybe tuck that heel in closer towards the hip line as you settle back onto the back foot. So you're trying to wrap your bum cheeks around that foot. And if that doesn't feel comfortable, you can take a block or a cushion and tuck it underneath your frame. Bring the left heel in as close to the inside of the right hip bone as you can, and then just settle the weight of your body so it feels like you're centered through the pelvis. Then let's take a soft twist to each side. Maybe just floating to one side, grabbing opposite hand to hip while trying to maintain that tall sense of trunk, front, back, and sides. Inhale to come back to the middle, and then exhale to twist to the other side, opposite hand to hip. Then untwist your trunk and think about how you're going to use the current frame of your legs to come into a seated figure 4. So you're going to have to readjust the foot that you're currently sitting on. Maybe placing your hands on the mat, you're going to subtly, and you can take the foot from the outside or from the inside. So experiment, maybe leaning into your right bum, sliding the foot from underneath you, taking a seat on the mat, maybe just creeping more towards the middle of the mat. Maybe just as you untuck, to bring that bum closer towards your heel and just sit here for a moment and enjoy the stretch into the shoulders, into the pelvis. Breathe. All right, let's see how we're going to find our way from this setup into a boat line. So maybe giving yourself more distance between the bum and the heel, unwrapping your legs, maybe keeping your fingers on the floor, maybe just changing the orientation of your hands. Weight is tipped off the bum bone, you've got an L lean back. Maybe you're holding onto the back of your thighs. Maybe you're extending the legs. Maybe you're working sans arms. Play it up. Play with those arms. See where you need to be today. Hold your boat, Navasana. And then think about how you're going to use this extended leg line to come into intense east. Drop into a nice tall seat. Keeping your feet together, or you can knife edge them. Let's fist the hands, or you can play with a flat hand if you want. You're going to draw those hands behind you. You're going to lift your booty off the mat. You're going to think belly to sky, and you're going to pause here. Intense east. Strong through the whole core. Galvanize front, back, and sides. Then gently bring it down to the mat. As soon as your bottom touches the mat, find your way into a deep squat, bending the legs one at a time, taking your knees and your feet wide, maybe coming onto the tips of your hands and walking your weight up. Either fingers on floor, maybe you want to float in cactus, maybe you want to bring it into prayer. Pause here for a moment. Take a breather. Keep thinking belly to spine even while holding this deep squat line. And then think about how you're going to find your way from here into a forward fold with a little calf hold. Maybe placing both hands on the mat, beginning to extend through the legs and heel-toeing until the legs are in parallel. Holding the fold, equalizing the weight on the balls and the heels of your feet as you hold on to the back of your calves. Maybe you can even interlace the hands. You can play with it. You could even cross at the wrist as you hold the fold. So just play with it. See where you need to be. Inverting the blood for a moment. Still galvanizing through the core. And then find your way from this folded frame into Shavasana, however you can get into it. So maybe just thinking haunch line, placing your hands on the mat, bending the knees but keeping them tracking forward. Falling back sans hands or using the hands on the mat behind you to find a seat. And then rolling down one vertebra at a time, thinking hollow belly, rounded back to bring yourself down on the mat. And then just flopping straight into Shavasana, arms relaxed at your side, a little bit splayed away from the body, palms looking up to the sky. Legs are rotated out, big toes are sort of splaying to the corners of your mat. You've got a comfortable neutral spine, maybe lifting the shoulders off the mat for a moment and then just settling and tucking them in like little wings behind you. Close your eyes, take your focus inward. Keeping your eyes closed and your focus in, start to think of your belly center, the Manipuraka chakra that we worked nice and hard today. And just start to soften your whole belly. And as you soften the belly, allow that softness to begin bleeding out to the rest of your body. Feel that softness extending from your belly all the way through the legs and the toes. All the way from your belly through the top portion of your chest, your shoulders, bleeding down, not only into the fingertips, but up towards the crown. So it feels like you're almost softening in little pulsing rings towards the extremities of your body. The whole time keeping that breath long, soft, and relaxed. And take a big breath in, still eyes closed and focus inward. And just flop your head softly off center to one side. Take a little rest here, releasing through the neck and the collar line. Still thinking of that radiating softness from the belly to your extremities. Inhale, bring your chin line back to neutral. And then on a nice lazy exhale, take the chin drop to side 2. Relax through the neck, through the collar line. Still thinking of that radiating softening from your belly center towards your extremities. Inhale. Bring your chin line back to neutral. Maybe softly flutter open your eyes. Bend your knees, maybe grounding your feet for a moment. And then when you're ready, you can roll over onto the side of the body, preferably the right side, so that your parasympathetic nervous system is on top. Just give yourself a few moments here in a soft fetal light tuck, maybe using the bottom arm as a pillow. And then when you're ready, you're going to push up into a seat of your choice. Maybe it's easy sit, maybe it's full or half lotus, or maybe you're just electing to come into thunderbolt with the knees and the feet together, sitting up nice and tall. Find the seat that works for you. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Just give me a soft but active connect between the two hands, and let's just keep the elbows soft today. Still thinking of that galvanization through the core, front, back, and sides to keep your seat tall, however you decided to arrange your seat. And then just end off today's practice by maybe taking a bow on the words Namaste. Thank you so much for coming out and joining me today. Hope you enjoyed. Till next time, keep it light.